the decision, the conversation, the recruitment of, I'm sure Oklahoma spoke with more than just Brent Venables, but that hiring seemed pretty swift, all things considered. I guess maybe there were moments where you're like, why aren't they just going, there's the Twitter spaces and everything. Why aren't they just getting Venables? Why aren't they just getting Venables? How complicated, how convoluted, how thorough, how quick? What was the vetting process like? Like, I remember seeing that Dan Lanning's name also came up, and of course he was going to stay at Georgia throughout the playoff. What was the process? What was all the the legs of the bird underneath the water? What was that like for Oklahoma when they are, and I believe when they say it, shocked that Lincoln Riley leaves? What's the new coach hiring process like?
Well, that first day. So the next day after Lincoln announced he was leaving, they had a press conference, and that's when they announced that Bob Stoops was stepping in. And by the way, I have to say that Bob Stoops' role in all of this can't be understated. I don't think the fact that first of all, that they had a guy like that they could just swoop in and stick in as interim coach, and he immediately went out and recruited and all. But it was more than that. It was just the confidence that he projected. I don't know if you guys remember his press conference that next day, where he said, the players are Oklahoma football. It's not about one person. That sort of message, I think, made people feel better just having someone like that, as opposed to just making Alex Grinch the interim coach or something like that.
Right.
I think being able to do that with Bob Stoops made a big difference. And then, Joe Castiglione has said that Venables was the first call. Obviously, they talked to other people. I know there have been, the names I've heard tossed around. Dan Lanning. We heard there was a brief point when people were talking about Matt Rule as a potential candidate. There was, who else? Dave Aranda's name came up quite a bit, which I think he's a great coach and has done an amazing job at Baylor. But I think Venables was always kind of the guy. His history at OU, him being kind of a Stoops guy, him doing what he did at Clemson, just an unbelievable job at Clemson. This is another connection OU fans have made. Bud Wilkinson, Barry Switzer, Bob Stoops, Lincoln Riley, none of them were head coaches before they got hired. So I don't think people were too concerned about the fact that he wasn't a head coach. But Brent wanted to be here. He's got history here. I think all of those things sort of made him a slam dunk. And then the things that he's done since he's been hired, I think have been pretty good.
What are those things? What is the Brent Venables early experience? What has that been like? And the big thing that we talk about is vision. Oklahoma's going a new direction in that he is a defensive minded guy. And obviously Bob Stoops was with his background at Florida and such. But what has the Brent Venables as like the forward facing face of a program been like when he has been behind the scenes exclusively all of these years? What has he projected? What has he been selling? What has that vision been like these first couple months? Yeah, well, he's obviously projected a lot of confidence, and then I think the thing that makes me say that I think they might be in better shape is just, for one, he came in and helped save this recruiting class. Oklahoma's recruiting class was teetering when Lincoln left. They slipped into the 20s. By early signing period, they were back in the top 10. They ended up at number 8, which is their highest ranked signing class in 3 years. It's only one of Riley's classes is higher than that one, was ranked higher than that one. So that was pretty impressive. And then the staff that he's put together, being able to bring Todd Bates over from Clemson. Oklahoma has been pretty good on the defensive line the last couple of years, but nothing like what they need to be in the SEC. OU hasn't had a defensive lineman drafted in the first round since Gerald McCoy, and that was 12 years ago. Wow. And so a guy like Todd Bates, who's had 3 first-round linemen, who is regarded as one of their best recruiters. Having a guy like that can step in and help them recruit to the level they need to recruit at to compete in the SEC is a big deal. Jeff Levy, I think, was a great hire at offensive coordinator. The job he's done, I don't think that you're going to drop off that much from what Lincoln Riley did, especially considering how poorly the offense played last year, even when they probably shouldn't have, when you would have expected them to be a lot better. So I think that was a great hire. The other thing is he and all the people he's bringing in around him know how to do one thing that is obviously going to be the most important thing. And that's, they know how to beat Alabama. They've done it.
Yeah.
Brent Venables has done it twice. Todd Bates has done it twice. Jerry Schmidt, who they're bringing back as strength coach, he was a strength coach at Texas A&M last year. They're the only team that beat Alabama in the regular season. So he's taking Thad Turnipseed is a guy behind the scenes that people don't really know about, probably, or a lot of people don't. But he helped build up that infrastructure at Alabama. Then he went to Clemson, did the same thing there. So he's just bringing in people who know what it takes to succeed in the world in which they're about to be competing. Because let's be honest, they're not going to dominate the SEC the way they've dominated the Big 12. It's just not possible.
Right.
And so getting people in place who know how to do those things. And the other thing I'd say, and I said this last week, and I think people thought I was being a homer, and maybe it comes off that way, but I don't mean it to, but it's just a fact that every year Lincoln Riley was head coach, they got a tad bit worse every year, just a little bit worse every year.
I mean, same. Every year Lincoln Riley was the head coach at Oklahoma, I've gotten a little bit worse myself. So we've all been there. But yeah,
Me too.
the point is taken. Yeah.
Me too. But anyway, so that's why I think that once people get over the shock and the anger and the hurt and the betrayal, they're going to see that I actually think they're better off moving forward.